welcome to our presentation. We are starting our presentation with Lyme disease. That is our project. That is the topic that we decided to present to you guys. My name is Sarah.
My name is Daniel.
Cool. And here we go. This is where we'll start.
All right, so I'm gonna start talking about what's Lyme disease. Lyme disease is a bacterial infection that's transmitted via a bite from a tick carrying the spirochete, or mostly known as corkscrew shape. Um, and then that's a Borrelia strand of bacteria. So basically, the only way of getting the disease is by an outside parasite, and the only way of getting it is by being bitten by this actual parasite. The Lyme disease is classified under the zoonosis, which basically, what I just explained, it's transmitted by outside parasite. When I mean outside, it's outside of the body, and then it bites your skin, and that's how you get infected, and that's how you contract the disease. Now, there are different characteristics and type of these bacteria. We listed 3 different types of the bacteria that are known. And for example, the first one that I'm going to talk about is the Borrelia burgdorferi, and then it's a spirochete bacteria. That's the shape that the bacteria has. It's transmitted by the black-legged tick, which basically is a parasite, and then it predominates in North America. Now, the second one, it's the Borrelia asphali. It also has the spirochete bacteria, and it's transmitted by Isolates riccinus ticks. And this one predominates mostly in Europe and Asia. The third and last one is the Borrelia garini. Also has the shape, the spirochete shape and bacteria, and this one is transmitted by the Ixodes persaclus. Now, this one it predominates mostly in Eurasia, and these are the 3 most common type of bacteria that transmits that transmits this disease. Now, this disease has 3 different stages. Each stage has different symptoms. The first stage is the early Lyme disease stage, where you mostly will feel, if you get infected, you'll feel fatigue, fever, headaches, hepatitis, also myelina. Now, once you are actually infected, you most likely feel multiple lesions form, Bell palsy, which basically half of your face will get paralyzed. Also, you could potentially get cardiac manifestations. And then the late Lyme disease, basically the symptoms that you will experience are potential neurological manifestations, potential arthritis, and then it could lead to chronic Lyme arthritis. So basically, those are conditions that you could have after you, let's say, get cured from the disease.
So, okay.
Go ahead.
No, awesome. So now we are going to talk about the epidemiology of Lyme disease. So basically, we'll talk about who can get Lyme disease, and how do you get Lyme disease, a bit furthermore to what Daniel just spoke about. So basically, anybody can get Lyme disease. It normally occurs between ages 16 to 30 at a very higher risk that most younger people can get. just because you can get the Lyme disease of the bite of the tick basically anywhere. It mostly predominantly in forest, mountains, anywhere that's very high populated of ticks, mostly in the outdoors if you're spending a lot of time out there for a uh, quite some time. And it's a very common disease. It's not like it is a um, typical virus or anything, but it is all year long. Mostly the highest rates is between the summers, so starting in May and then ending with June. So Lyme disease, what symptoms do you get from Lyme disease? Basically, once you get the bite of a tick from Lyme disease, you will receive a lot of flu-like symptoms. And as you can see in the image below, it is very impactful once you receive the Lyme disease over time. So once you are infected, you will receive a lot of body aches. Your muscles will start to swell. You'll receive a lot of stiffness, and then you will also develop a bull-like rash on your body. So yeah. So the role and the background information of Lyme disease is basically this Lyme disease was first studied in 1976. It was founded, the first case was in Lyme, Connecticut. Um, and basically the bacteria is very harmful to the immune system. It has developed a Lyme arthritis. So it has also caused a lot of neurological issues throughout throughout a lot of these cases in North America and other cases in around the world. Basically, there have been two different types of Lyme diseases. We have the old and the new Lyme disease. We are actually talking mostly more about Lyme disease and how it is studied now, more identified, more newer information than old Lyme disease was. So the comparisons between old Lyme and new Lyme disease has changed a lot in comparison, and basically it is very impactful to immune system, and its role is quite impactful. So yes. So diagnosis, you can determine if you have disease through laboratory testing. If you do end up having it, it is a risk to health factors leading to other health issues as well. And if you do receive it and notice that you have Lyme disease, you can seek medical attention very quickly. And since this disease is far advanced into information, it's very, very curable. So, and this is the next part. I'm going to hand it over to Sky.
Thank you. So we'll be talking about treatment and prevention of Lyme disease. The treatment for Lyme disease, because it is a bacterial disease that is transmitted via Borrelia burgdorferi, or the different strands of the same bacteria, it responds very well to most antibiotics that you can get over the counter. The usual antibiotics used for treatment of Lyme disease tend to be amoxicillin, doxycycline, and ceftriaxone, which usually a doctor would prescribe them to you, and you'll take them over a course of how many couple of days, depending on the severity of your contraction of Lyme disease, and the symptoms should clear up alongside the disease. General prevention tips: if you are planning on taking a trip out during the summer months, or just to an area that is heavily wooded or like foresty in nature, you do want to prevent access to your skin by wearing long sleeves or things that cover up your arms. You might want to pack some form of repellent, like insect repellent. If there is a path and you're walking through the path, you might want to stay on the path rather than venturing out into the more unmanaged areas to avoid contact with ticks that may be on the trail. And if you are bitten, what you can do at that point in time to prevent or at least um, mediate some of the symptoms you may receive is proper removal of the tick, and of course, applying any form of antiseptic to your wound, such as hydrogen peroxide or alcohol. And of course, afterwards, seeking medical attention to get tested to see whether or not you've gotten Lyme disease or have the bacteria present within your system. The prognosis of if you get Lyme disease, the predicted path basically is Lyme disease is the type of disease that you want to get handled immediately, like sooner rather than later, because as the disease progresses throughout your system, you may receive more symptoms, you may have more developments as it grows and evolves within your system and attacks you in different ways. The quicker you get it through your system, the okay, go back to it.
Sorry. Oh my God. Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry. Okay, here we go. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. The quicker you get it handled, the less likely you are to develop symptoms of PTLDs, which is referred to as post-treatment Lyme disease, which are random symptoms that show up after the disease has cleared out of your system. PTLDs tend to clear up with time. There's no effective countermeasure against it. There's the usual prescription of more long-term medicines to use. Like if you're having a headache, like Advil, Tylenol, the likes of over the counter, or like just in-store medicines to just alleviate the symptoms you're I forgot the word, the symptoms that you are feeling, basically. Some public health issues that have been seen or noted is Lyme disease does tend to be more prevalent in more northern states. It's very common in the northern area, and essentially there has been issued like, hey, this is Lyme disease season going around, mostly because it can lead to severe health problems later down the line. And the areas that tends to be prevalent are like the upper areas like New York, Massachusetts, Maryland, like those areas tend to have to deal with Lyme disease more. If you reference the table or the picture, it shows in the legend, the blue areas are areas that are like high risk of Lyme disease and in general, just very high cases for it. And some of the reasons why there's public outcry regarding Lyme disease is long-term effects have led to facial palsy, arthritis, nerve pain, or heart palpitations over time. So this is a graph showing the confirmed Lyme disease cases on a month-by-month basis over 2008 to 2019. And it shows that there's lower cases in the starter months, but picking up around May to June to July, the summer areas, that's when there's a higher chance of contracting Lyme disease. And that's most likely due to the ticks and their mating habits throughout the seasons. They tend to be dormant in the winter, start to show up around springtime, and then in summer, that's in full breeding season for ticks. So more likely to catch Lyme disease during those months than any other month.
So here we have confirmed cases of the United States and what how it has progressed over 2016 through 2019. So we, as Sky discussed, we start to see a lot of the confirmed cases are more up north in United States. So as you can see, like Connecticut, in this table, we have Connecticut, Delaware, District of Columbia being some of the highest in the northern area. We also have also the highest in the thousands range to in Maine and in Maryland, Massachusetts, as well as pretty high up there in 2016, 2017. And then in Minnesota, 2016 and 2017 were also pretty high. In 2019, out of this this chart is basically Maine, it was the highest with 1,629 confirmed cases. We also have in this chart, we have, let me see right here. So sorry, just have to move this real quick. New Jersey being the highest. We also have New York, Pennsylvania, with the highest out of all of them confirmed cases. And yeah, so we start to see here that mostly up north on the upper right side of United States is with a different climate of more foresty type geographically, it's definitely a lot of confirmed cases of the ticks, especially in the summer. And then awesome. Okay, so now we are discussing the confirmed cases, continuation. And so to finalize the chart and the table, we see here now that Vermont, Virginia, also the northern states have the highest confirmed cases from 2016 to 2019 in with Lyme diseases. And in total, each year at the bottom of the chart of each year of confirmed total cases of that year, we see that 2016 was the 2017 was the highest, and then 2016 following right after in confirmed total cases. And we have our first clicker question. Sky, if you'd like to present the first one, or Daniel.
I say A.
Think it's A?
Yeah.
I say so too. Daniel, what do you think
I'd say it's A.
A? It is A. The classification does for Lyme disease does fall under zoonosis. Zoonosis basically it is once a it's the contact of an animal or insect to a human, and that is the disease that it falls under the classification. We have the next clicker question. What bacteria is responsible for the spread of Lyme disease in North America? I believe it is C.
Yeah, I agree with it being C, Borrelia burgdorferi.
Yeah, I agree on the answer. It's C. That's a bacteria that it's responsible to spread the disease in the North America.
All right, let's see. Cool.
Nice.
Next one, we have, what shape does the bacteria Borrelia garini have?
I want to say it's D.
Yeah, I think it's D as well.
Definitely corkscrew-like. Cannot pronounce that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And it is that. Awesome. And these are our sources of our presentation, where we have researched Lyme disease and what we know everything about it. Thank you, you guys, for presenting and for doing this project with me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sky. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, and thank you for the watchers.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Awesome. And we're out. And I'll stop.